Alright, how's it going, guys? We are here with XAR again. Look
Hello.
at his psycho contraption. We blame Eric for this.
Psycho contraption. This is uranium tetrafluoride.
Yeah.
Or uranium hexafluoride. Excuse me. So Uraninite, we get it from pitch blende, we get it from Uraninite, or crush it, wash it, pulverize it, have fun with it.
Yeah.
We take
Hold on a second. Let me. So pitch blende, you wash it, you get all kinds of stuff. You actually get straight uranium out of it. That's nice.
Yeah, always save the. Well, actually, he nerfed the uranium, but look for the things that give byproducts of plutonium, and make sure to go that way to get your nice top up of plutonium.
Yeah, but you actually get, a 3% chance at 9 pure uranium ore.
Yeah, but that's just 238.
Yeah, but can't you centrifuge that to get the?
Nope,
you can centrifuge that to get tiny refined plutonium ore.
Yep, but that's still the 235.
238, yes.
Or yeah, the 238. You don't get 235 from it anymore.
Right, but it does give you a chance of getting, or a way of getting plutonium earlier. If you want to kickstart your stuff.
I would recommend, but the rates of return are very low unless you have an IE uranium vein or something similarly awful. Awfully overpowered.
Okay, so the actual processing to get pitch blende to uraninite is get it to dust, centrifuge it at 70, you get uraninite, thorium, and lead, and we'll go over the steps, but eventually you can take uranium all the way up to Naquadah, or thorium all the way up to Naquadah, right? Or Naquadria.
Yeah, we can keep burning out the fuels until we get Naquadria, yeah.
It would probably take massive amounts of thorium to get there, but every bit of this helps get you to the end tier, and then it loops back around to thorium, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, for some reason, in case you didn't have, in case you couldn't find enough thorium.
Yeah, I'll put a link to the video where we talked at least a little bit about this, and eventually XAR and I will get into reactors and we'll show you that. But anyways, we're here for what to do with the uraninite when you get it.
Yeah, so once you get it, you stuff it in a box, you leave it on a box, then you build this awful chain, which is larger than aluminum. It's almost twice the size of aluminum for a full circular loop for what you can loop. So we have our input uraninite here. We're going to mix it. We're going to get uranium tetrafluoride out of this. We're just mixing it with hydrogen fluorine here. Then we mix that again with regular fluorine, and we get uranium hexafluoride as a liquid, and we're outputting two different liquids. We're outputting uranium 238 hexafluoride, and I can't see the face on that side, and 235 hexafluoride.
Yeah.
We mix
this
those.
This is where you actually get your 235, because you're basically centrifuging the base liquid into 238 and 235.
Yep, from our titanium centrifuge here, taking all kinds of EV power, and then we mix that with hydrogen. Do be aware, this uses a lot of hydrogen. If you find yourself in excess hydrogen, this is a great way to get rid of it. Then we'll get the dust back from this process, as well as some of the...
So by running this, let me look at the actual recipe here so we can see the output. So the output is uranium 230, or input is uranium 235 hexafluoride at 1400 liters and 400 liters of hydrogen, and then that will give you 1 dust of uranium 235 tetrafluoride and hydrogen fluoride, and you get 800 liters of that, which I am guessing by this pipe right here is being backflowed into this tank, so he doesn't have to make as much. So then you're smelting that down.
That's our fluorine return, our hydrogen fluorine return. We'll still have to make more from the rest of the loop. But yeah, then we smelt it down to get the liquid out, and then we gotta mix it yet again. And we have one for each of the 238 and 235, and we gotta mix it with molten calcium. Hopefully the other one should have some in it right now, or we can't even see its face.
No, I see that.
I think it's yeah, it's in the center here that's exposed. Yeah, squeeze all the way down there.
Okay. So molten uranium 238 tetrafluoride and molten calcium gives out molten uranium, and that's molten uranium 238.
It'll give the molten uranium is 238, and then the molten 235 will say that it's 235. If it doesn't say it's 238.
And do you get the molten fluorite out of both of them?
We get calcium back and molten calcium back, or sorry, molten. We get molten fluorite back. This is where the fluorine comes out of it, because it was tetrafluoride that went in. So we get the molten fluorine back, or fluoride back. Or sorry, fluorite. The molten fluorite comes back to the shredder. We shred it back to dust, and we start the recycling loop.
Pouring it as ingots of?
I'm pouring it as rods.
No, the molten fluorite. How are you getting that
both as rods?
Oh, it pours both of them straight as rods.
Yeah, it just there's a rod mold right on the back. See, this one over here's got one in it right now.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. And then those rods come over here to get shredded down.
Yep, and then this pipe here is only got 3 points. It's got the 2 points for the uranium rods, and then chest for the top of the shredder.
Okay.
And then I picked rods because rods are what we need. Well, we'll cut them down from long rods, but we need rods and bolts for the reactors.
Yeah.
And then I also put electric coolers on the backs of these because this takes quite a long time to cool and will be a bottleneck if you care.
Yep.
In case you were wondering, yes, I did find an IE uranium vein, which gives you crap tons of uraninite, which is why we have so much 235 and 238 down here.
And this is also pre-nerf, right?
Yeah, but this wouldn't have been impacted by the change.
Oh, okay.
The dust upstairs would have been impacted by the change.
Okay. Now, once you get to this point, then we have to go through this whole process to reprocess the fluorite back to fluorine and hydrogen fluoride.
Yeah, so we need fluorine and hydrogen fluoride. Hydrogen fluoride is made in which one? Yeah, we're making hexasollastic acid. So sorry, let's start from the beginning. We take the fluorite dust, we mix it with sulfuric acid. This is the same thing that we did with aluminum.
Yes.
That gets us the oh, now I gotta look at the recipe because it's going by too fast. That gets us the calcium sulfate dust and hydrogen fluoride.
Yep.
So then we end up with the hydrogen fluoride coming back out here, and it goes back in this pipe and goes back to the hydrogen fluoride that we need to fill it.
Okay, where are you getting the fluorine?
The calcium sulfate can then be... So the hydrogen fluoride can be mixed with silicon dioxide dust. That'll get us this hexafluorastic acid, fluorosilicic acid, which we then electrolyze, which gives us our hydrogen gas, fluorine, and fluorine gas, and silicon dust.
Ah, okay.
The silicon dust leaves the system via the item pipe on the top. The fluoride goes, or fluorine goes down and over to this drum over here.
Okay.
And then the calcium sulfate dust we take into the back. We make sulfur trioxide with it, which we then mix with water and the sulfur trioxide to make the sulfuric acid that we're consuming. This also has a byproduct of the Wilsonite dust, Wilstonite dust, which we then electrolyze to get calcium dust back and silicon dioxide.
Okay, and then that calcium, I'm guessing, is what's used to make the molten calcium down here for that.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah,
also
if you go just on the other side here in the back.
Where did you go? There you are.
There's a smelter over here with the calcium dust, melting it back down and putting it back into those mixers.
Okay, so is this a closed loop other than the hydrogen, or
no? We're inputting the uraninite, which is obvious. Yeah. We're short on hydrogen because we don't break down all of the water. We throw some of it away. Okay. It might be closed if we save it. I don't know. I don't really want to try. And we are constantly consuming silicon dioxide.
Now, did you check the new recipe since the update? Because you should be getting, at least in the aluminum process, you get the silicon dioxide back
out. I haven't noticed this not working any differently.
Okay. Because I know, at least for the aluminum side, I haven't looked at this side yet, but I know when you mix the hexafluorosilicic acid and alumina together, you actually get molten aluminum fluoride now, water, and silicon dioxide, so it is completely lossless.
We electrolyze that instead of using it that way.
Yeah, so the only way you'd be able to do that would be to take your silicon that you're getting out of it and bathing it into water, and that would then give you the silicon dioxide to put back in. But
yeah, actually, the silicon dioxide from the alumina might give you enough silicon dioxide to run this if you saved it all. But I've gone through like 100,000 plus silicon dioxide.
I do know that the aluminum with silicon dioxide is lossless. So you wouldn't really be able to save it because you have to put it right back in to start the process again. But if you did this bathing thing, it might... Oh, hey, I need to eat. There's this thing called food. I got ribs. But I'll eat your fruit salad. But, yeah, you might be able to do the bathing thing, but with all the steps it takes to purify the silicon, I would just take that silicon you're getting as a bonus, and you can get silicon dioxide way easier than pure silicon. So I would never.
Yeah. So the pitch blend and gets centrifuged here through these centrifuges, as well as the rest of the radioactives. And then, yeah, I've been using the silicon that I get out of that for my red alloy.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look now at basically the workings of this and how it's all done. So this bucketometer you have up here is just for telling you the number. It's not.
Yeah, it's just for me to monitor. It's just for me to monitor the level in the system.
Okay. And then you have the pipe coming in that fills the adamantium drum. That way you always have a bit of a backup stored for when you do a large batch. I'm guessing these run faster than making the hydrogen fluoride.
Yeah, they tend to. It's usually the fluorine that runs out first, and then the hydrogen fluoride.
Okay.
Putting a box here causes it to go faster for that process, and we'll eat it. So if you want to like balance it a little bit more for processing, you might get rid of this so that you don't queue up a bunch.
Okay. So you basically just have your input pipe here coming into the uraninite dust box, which feeds into the mixer. That automatically outputs into this brass pipe into that box and continues. Fluid obviously coming in on the top, and then this pipe that is going down is for the wastewater. Is that what you get out of this one?
Yeah, that's water, and it goes back into this tank back here, and will get voided when there's too much.
Okay. And then this one is basically the same thing. It inputs through the box, fluid through the top. It outputs that fluid, which runs up here to this tank, because this one's output is, one second, the uranium hexafluoride. There's no solid out, and there's no other liquid that comes out. So that just runs into this. It's non-acidic, so you don't have to use stainless steel. And then it runs through there. Now here you have a tag on your motor, and that is to limit the amount of power that the centrifuge is pulling. So he has a EV motor on this. Now let me just look up motor. So it can output 2048 RU a tick if it is fed with 4096. And the titanium centrifuge can take up to 1,000 RU a tick. So by putting the tag on there set to 8, that limits the 2,000 to half. So 16 is full, or 15 I think it is full. 8 is half. 4 is a quarter. It just goes that way. So most of the time you'll always use a tag set to 8, because you need half of what you're doing. And the let's look here. This one we get back to where we were. So the uranium hexafluoride, you'll see in the Where is that one? And that gets centrifuge, and that needs 512. So he could run it slower if he chose to. He could run it all the way at 512 instead of 1000, but he's running it max of the machine. So alright, and those two fluids are then put out into this nanovolt invar pipe, which if I get my magnifying glass here and go around the other side, because these pipes are a little tight, I'm not even sure if I can check it. You can see it's a whitelist filter set for uranium 238 on the top. And I don't think I'm going to be able to check that one, but that I can tell is also a whitelist filter. And that is for the 235, which you can see the two are going through extenders here. And they are going through extenders because there are other pipes on the top, and he doesn't want the two to mix together and block the pipe. That's what is a great thing to use these tank extenders for. If we use the wrench, you can see that the main input is going down. That extends the input of the machine that it's connected to. So basically it's working as a one-way valve to where you can put fluids in this direction and then fluids in the top, and they can never go, this fluid can never get into that black pipe, and that black pipe fluid can never get into here. Their only destination is out into the machine. So then on that, you have your output coming this way, which if we look at this again, we are running the uranium 235 hexafluoride with hydrogen, which is outputting the hydrogen fluoride and the dust. The hydrogen is what's coming in through that black pipe on the top, and then this pipe here is going in and sending it to the hydrogen fluoride tank over there, which is also connected to the hydrogen fluoride coming out of where it's being produced. But it's eating it faster than what is being produced, so we didn't have to do a valve here as well. But that is an option if you have fluids being produced and in two different places, and you want to make sure that, like if it's a byproduct in this case, it's creating it as a byproduct of a process, and then it's being created as well in another process. You could actually do a valve here that would make sure that if this pipe is full, then this pipe is closed, and only this pipe can flow into there, but you wouldn't use an extender for that. I can go back to my place and set this up. I'll see if I can do that and make a separate video for this that'll come out to accompany it and explain this, and if I can get that done, I will put a card up in the corner to that in case you need it. But at least for this process, it is not necessary. But for other processes, it may be. Okay, so then the output is coming from this side or from there, just going up to these boxes. And this, as you can see, is a very slow process to melt. So that's why he has the mass storage is here, so there's a buffer. Depending on how much you're running at one time, you may be able to get away with a chest. The problem is when you're using automatic machine switches, like what this is, if the output inside the machine gets full of an item, it will not automatically output that to restart. It has to have power, and the machine switch is turning off the power supply. So that's why it's best to have a buffer that it can send to, so the machine can always be empty and never get filled. Now, you could use the inventory extender on the output and put a hopper under it, and that would allow you to pull from there. It's another option that you could do, but I consider this a way easier way, better way of doing it. You'll see here that again he's using a LV heater, but it's got it set only to 8, so it's putting out half of its power to the smelter. So then the input is being automatically pulled through the top. The output is going into this tank extender to go into this machine, and they're basically the same exact setup for both sides here. So you have the molten uranium, whether 238 or 235, tetrafluoride coming in through this pipe. That pipe up there is the calcium, which we'll look at that, but it's going to be basically the same thing as this. Both of them coming through the tank extender, same thing as the other one, going down, and then the auto output on the mixers is to the bottom, or to the back. That's why the face is there. So then, as he showed earlier, he's just got tungsten molds here to catch the rods that come out. Then there are hoppers underneath that going into these item pipes. They first have a chance to go into this and this. That way, the only thing that ever gets over to the shredder box is the fluorite rods. And as he said, he has coolers here, which he has a redstone machine switch on here. If we click it, it says run when input is on. So he has this set to greater than 0. This is an item meter. So if it detects an item in that mold, it sends out a redstone signal. When it gets a redstone signal here, it turns it on. It cools it with electricity, and it then goes through. Then it turns off when it's done. This is a really nice way if you're trying to do machines. It's not really needed with crucibles. And for anybody that wants to use these coolers, as you can see, this side is red, this side is hot. So if we actually put a thermo sensor on this side, it would show that it's actually getting hot. You could, in theory, put a crucible here and heat it up from the output of the thermoelectric that is the hot side. So make sure that if you set one of these up, I guess I need to put this back just a second. If we look at this side, you'll see that side is blue. And if we look at the wrench, the blue side is the side that is the positive side. So this side is set up exactly the same way. And here is the calcium. So he just has his line here that runs the calcium in to for this here. It's a plastic box, so it can only hold a maximum amount. I'm guessing, I don't think you can, yeah, it tells you what it holds maximum, but, or what it's holding now, but it doesn't say it's maximum. But I'm guessing because it's at 920, this is a 1024 plastic bin. So if we go to, I do believe they're called bins. Plastic. And let's see if I can, here they are. So, oh, plastic storage box. So you have the option of 128, 256, 512, and 1024. So he has it set to 1024, which is only changed by where you put the screwdriver in the recipe. You'll see that it is the exact same recipe all the way around, and they're nice and cheap. It's 4 plastic sheets, 3 plastic screws, a chest, and then the screwdriver. So these are great if you know you are going to have a specific thing coming through and you want to make sure that this always has some, but then send the rest on. So my guess is wherever this calcium is coming from, which part of it, as we talked about, is coming from over there, the other part is probably coming from tungsten processing. It will always go here first, and then it will go on and get stored in this periodic table upstairs. So that is it for the actual tetrafluoride side. This side is basically already been explained when we did aluminum, but if you have any questions about it, let me know. Sorry that XAR had to leave in the middle of here. He had a emergency that needed to be dealt with, but I would like to thank him for allowing us to come in and explaining this monster that I have not managed to get set up yet. And we will be back with some more because we are going to be starting to work on some reactor stuff together, and we will show you some of the setups that we managed to make just to give you a sneak little peek to wet your whistle. And let's see if I can see it from over here. Ah, right there. So you'll see over there in the distance that green thing. It's going to be nuclear powered, is what we're hoping. So stay tuned for that. But as always, thank you very much for joining us here. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. Either drop us a comment, stop into our Discord, or you can always go to Greg's IRC channel as well. And we'll be more than happy to try to explain things a little bit better or answer any questions that you have. Have a good one and take it easy.